You've got mail. Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour or so, along with Katie.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Yes, sir.
And Nick is here.
Good morning.
And Gal is here.
Good morning, everybody.
So that means we are full house. Nice. Our number is 561-518-9773, and today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, what happened last week?
I
Something
took the week
happened?
off and I just stayed in my room.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're all rejuvenated?
No, I'm not sleeping half the time.
Oh.
Catching up.
I'm updating my so I switched from what was it called? Is it Cursor?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
switched so I had Cursor and ChatGPT Codex going at the same time, and I ended up switching completely to ChatGPT. Cursor's fine. It's just I was using ChatGPT's image generator thing a lot, and then I started using the Codex, and while I was using it for the past like couple months, they've made a lot of updates on it, and I got confused. I don't know if it was last week or the week before because I tried to find the app on my computer, Codex, and it wasn't on my computer, and I was like, "What is going on?" And then I had to Google it, and they got rid of the name Codex, and now it's just ChatGPT or something because they had two separate apps, the ChatGPT app and then the Codex app.
Oh,
But
okay.
I just wish they would have told me because I'm like, what happened? Like I had like a moment where like, did I delete it? I was so confused. And now there's something else that has come out that is confusing, and I haven't taken the time to actually learn what it is. ChatGPT workspace.
Yes,
Or work.
workspace.
Okay, and it's like you should use workspace, and I was like, how is this different from ChatGPT? So I don't know. They're
Yeah.
doing a lot of changes, but
Yeah, there's two different installers from the Windows Store. There's the Chat GPT Classic, which is the one that Katie, you and I have been using probably for a long time. And then there's a new one called just Chat GPT, which is the workspace kind of all-in-one app. And so I suspect at some point they're going to get rid of Chat GPT Classic, which sucks because I don't like the way that the regular I don't like the way that the new Chat GPT app works. Not a
you just have to
So-
wait a month and it'll change.
Yeah, probably. So, I've started playing with at this point Claude code, which is exactly the same as Codex was, and very similar to the way you interact with Cursor, just outside of the IDE. And the reason I'm using that is I just needed a small project. I used it. I paid for 1 month, and that month is about to expire. But my goal is by the end of that month, have a setup where I have actually local agents alongside API keys that I can send to external agents and have it manage itself. So the server I have has enough RAM to run a bunch of stuff, and it has a few GPUs, old ones, but enough to run some small models. And one of the things I want to stop doing is I want to stop fighting malfunctions, basically. I want to stop being my own IT guy in the essence that it takes me way too much time to solve some small issues or deal with issues again and again and again. And it's going pretty well. I have a small container on the server that I've trained to know how it's built, what its boundaries are. It has a web interface with its chat interface, very similar to a ChatGPT, where I can access it from anywhere and I can tell it, okay, now go. I don't know, something isn't working with app so and so that you've installed. Go and figure out what's going on there and show me a plan. And it does it. Like the server is going to manage itself. That's how I'm almost. It's almost at the point where I can start trusting it. It's interesting. So the reason I mentioned all of this, the interface is no longer the one provided by whoever designed it, because it's the interface that sits on top of it. It's called Open Web UI, and like I have a chat client, but I control what it does, where it connects to, how it behaves, instead of just giving the reins to Anthropic or OpenAI or etc. Something worth looking at, especially if you have a tool that you're already you already find convenient and you want to use its capabilities, but you want to use it on your own terms.
What I love about this whole AI stuff is that it is evolving so fast that if I don't like something, I can just move on to some other hobby, and then in like 2 weeks to a month, something will be completely different. So it's like I don't. It's like this is annoying. It's okay. I'll just wait, and then it completely changes.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
One
want to
thing I
get too. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You go ahead. No. You go. I promise. Go ahead first, because I'm going to derail.
One thing I did find in terms of working with an AI agent to do something, to solve, to write a script, to whatever, is even if I stop midway because need to disconnect, life continues. When I come back, it's a lot easier for me specifically to continue where I left off, because I have this chat log, right? And one of the questions I'm going to ask it is, okay, what did we do? Where are we? It helps me track the progress, the work, and even what I was thinking in advance, because I gave it some original thoughts on how to start. And it's that part of managing work is a benefit I never thought would be of interest, and here it's basically baked in to the way we work with these agents. So like that.
Is it going to be, you know how now when you call some company and it's an AI answering and you keep saying agent, 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 so they're going to just switch you to another AI agent?
Actually, I was I had to use Google Fiber's chatbot or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and I kept asking a question, and it kept giving me the wrong response. And eventually I said, "Let me just talk to a person." And it said, "One moment, connecting to agent, like person." And then I got a person, and I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I mean, some of them are good at that. They will let you. Some of them suck at it.
Yeah. Well, it's how much I guess they pay whoever hosts the thing.
Well, I think some of them suck at it because there might not be a large group of people to actually answer your support request. And
Oh
so
no,
if you've got
well, that may be. I'm talking about the situation like they ask you, okay, so what do you want to ask? Now you already told the AI what you want
that's
to
always
ask,
been a problem.
and they coming around and around, and I said, and I just ask a question out of nowhere, like, which cigarettes should I smoke? You know, something that has nothing to do with that, and say, just a second, I'll connect you to somebody who can answer.
Did you know 9 out of 10 doctors say that Camel Camel cigarettes are the smoothest cigarettes that man could smoke. I don't know if you knew that. It's a new scientific study. 9 out of 10.
Oh, there was an ad that said that. I know.
Yeah,
I've seen that
literally.
one. I've
I
known
came
that
across
since I
that
was a
on
kid.
But
on Reddit this week.
it's just amazing that they have that elaborate system and they can't really follow
It's not
what's going
elaborate.
on. What?
It's not elaborate.
Huh?
It's they're all contract. There's a couple of companies that offer these, and even before AI, many of the live chatting things that you used on for support websites were only provided by a couple of companies. I'm totally drawing a blank on who they are and were, and I'm sure they still exist and it's all AI now. But that's been the case for, I don't know, I'd say at least 15 years, if not longer. That there's, a couple of these companies that handle live, and you'll still see it. You'll see the little, you go to a website, there's a little logo in the bottom right hand corner that will kind of give you an indication like, hey, I'm here to help. It's a plugin. It's not anything custom.
Yeah.
So I covered an interesting topic on my show last week, and I'm sure Gal has seen some of this, and I'm curious if anybody else has. Is anybody familiar with the concept of the circular deals that exist within AI?
What? No, never heard of that.
So this is this there was I think it was a Bloomberg story that was written a couple of months ago that shows essentially the total BS that exists within the AI space. All of these deals that are being made, all the money's just flowing around in a circle. So you've got, of course, Nvidia, who makes the physical hardware that is the backbone of many of these services. So you've got Nvidia making the physical hardware, and then you've got companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, and Oracle that are, of course, buying said hardware, renting or leasing said hardware to run the services that they're doing. They acquire these smaller companies, for hundreds of millions of dollars, take a piece of the investment, or excuse me, take a piece of the company, and then the investment is paid back to said company to rent server space. Nvidia is getting paid for more hardware. Nvidia invests in these companies like Microsoft and OpenAI, and it's just this circular flow of cash that seems very to use a term that Spence will probably remember, very, very fugazi on the way in which this money is flowing around, because it's real money, but it's all staying within about 3 or 4 dozen companies, and it's not really leaving. And it's just not robbing Peter to pay Paul, but the money ain't leaving. It's just being used to rent from the large companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, and then purchase stuff from Nvidia. It's an interesting thing, and it's going to be fascinating, as there's been a lot of discussion over the AI bubble. When does this pop? When does this crash? This kind of setup seems to almost guarantee some sort of major contraction, because what ends up happening is, let's say you're Microsoft and you've invested $10 billion over the last 5 years in these AI companies, and you've taken stock in them. Part of your major infusion of cash is that you take 20 or 30% of the company. That looks good until those companies go belly up and stop paying you rent, which is essentially what they're doing with the money that you gave them for server space and compute power. And so now you've got this double-edged sword where Microsoft has now lost income from companies that no longer exist. They own 20 or 30% stake in a company that is non-existent anymore, and it was all their money. So it's hitting them twice on their balance sheet. They're losing customers in terms of rent for infrastructure, and now they own a bunch of useless companies. It just doesn't seem sustainable.
That's interesting.
Well,
It's very interesting. It's very similar to the 90. It's not quite as incessant as some of the stuff that was going on during the internet.com bubble, but it's got a lot of the same precursors, and the money is obviously way larger than what it was even then.
But is it like when we're talking about the investment Microsoft has in these companies, right?
Mhm.
In the whole Microsoft pie of investment, that's not, it's a substantial investment, but it's not something that'll drag the company down. So
Well, it will drag from what and again, I'm not pretending to be a financial expert on this. I've read a bunch of different things about it and watched, done high class research, like watched a bunch of YouTube videos about it. And the one thing,
What's
excuse
the
me,
low class if that's the high class?
Instagram reels and TikTok videos.
Asking
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. The one thing, Gal, that I saw that kept coming up in these videos is that it negatively is affecting Microsoft twice. That's what could make it so detrimental. Is they invest. That Microsoft comes to you, Gal, and says we're going to give you $500 million for, and we're going to invest this in you. We're going to take 30% of your company. You use 70% of those dollars and invest it essentially back into Microsoft by renting AI compute and AI infrastructure, which obviously is great for Microsoft. They give you 500, they get 300 back.
So here's where I don't think
Wait
I
a second.
agree on
Wait.
the analysis.
Gal, wait a second.
But
Nick,
that's circular. That's the thing. I understand that, Amnon, but hold on.
no, I wonder
I'm
if he
stopping.
finisst. If that was
No,
the,
I did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's fine that he cut me
I'm
off. Yeah.
stopping because I have a question exactly about that section, right?
Yeah, hit me.
Microsoft gave 500 million. That's the published deal.
Sure.
But how those 500 million are passed might be in compute.
Yes.
Like the fact that the whoever is doing the analysis is claiming that they are doing double accounting on that. That's the fact that I say, where are you bringing that information from?
Well, I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't necessarily call it double accounting. I don't think there's any. The point here. I don't think there's anything illegal going on here. But Microsoft, from what I understand about this, from a business standpoint, even if let's say the deal's 500 million, 150 million cash, and the rest in compute tokens, it's still a $500 million deal for Microsoft, and there are benefits as one of the largest corporations in the world, significant benefits for quote unquote spending $500 million, which actually is not even enough. It needs to be into the billions, but $500 million on a company that looks good on a balance sheet and from a business standpoint. And so there's a benefit there.
I was just going to bring that up to say that could have been the motive in the beginning of the whole thing. Not just to share technology, but hey, we're both looking for a good deal where we can invest in each other and get a benefit.
Yeah, that's what makes it, and that's why it's called this circular deal, because the money is only really, and obviously there's other money that's being spent on employees and all of the other things for this new company. But going back to your question, the concern that I kept seeing raised over and over again was they invest $500 million into you and you completely botch it, didn't work out, so on and so forth. The money that they were, even if it was in-kind tokens that Microsoft was supposedly going to get back, it's still considered revenue because it's still, the money is still being spent throughout their AI products. That money goes away. And now Microsoft owns 20 to 40% of a company that is underwater and no longer exists. And the phrase I kept seeing was this double hit on the balance sheet of, okay, here's 200 million, even though it was our money originally, here's $200 million worth of revenue via AI tokens that we're no longer going to have. And now we own this piece of crap company that is also in the red. Those are the concern was you keep piling that stuff up, even in these smaller deals, and it eventually could even affect a large company like Microsoft. Fortunately for them, they're very much divested in everything else. So maybe Microsoft isn't the greatest example of this, but OpenAI would be, and Oracle and some of these other companies that are heavily invested in AI and have very few in terms of diversity in some of their portfolios. What happens to those companies when it's all AI based and there's no, Microsoft's got the video game division to fall back to, the consumer Windows and Office and Microsoft 365 stuff to fall back to. If you don't have that other stuff, what happens? Like CoreWeave is a great idea, a great example of one of those companies that is solely invested in AI. There's nothing else.
Correct, but CoreWeave, they're a service provider, right?
Yes.
And their deals are based on, doesn't matter which company, but on companies that are developing AI to run on their infrastructure. So the investment there is different. They're investing in their own infrastructure to service others. They're betting the bank that this service is going to be needed. Are they taking a risk? Yes, it's a huge risk. That's why they're called a neo cloud, because basically they are a cloud service provider, but they're new to the game. They're doing something niche that the other big guys, they're only just now starting to tip their toe in, basically, uh, in the effectiveness and then the price range, right, and in all that. So a fact that a Microsoft or a Google, which is so diverse in terms of its investment, right? They're used to back up the wrong horse every once in a while. I don't know, something there's I'm not saying throw caution to the wind. I am saying don't create something that isn't there yet. The investments are huge, but for now, right? They are definitely paying for themselves. So,
I
and
wonder
when
if
we're
that would
looking
be,
long term, there's nothing really circular. There is a lot of cross investment, but I don't think that is what is creating the bubble. If somebody is creating the bubble around it, are analysts who are talking like this, right? But
Well,
I don't know, man. Take a look at that. Take a look at that, the image in the article, and I think you'd find it hard to argue that it's not circular. I mean, yes, or maybe it's more oval with some tentacles than maybe actually a full on geometric circle. But damn, it's pretty close to as circle as it could be.
I think the best way to measure this would be to go and get a private conversation with the CFO and figure out if he's happy about it or scared by it.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
this is, let's be clear, circular financing in technology is nothing new. I'm sure you look at some of the big companies like IBM and what they were doing in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. There was a lot of this going on too. It's pretty common in the tech space. The question is the scale. I mean, we're literally talking about tens of trillions of dollars in financing when it's all added up that's flowing around. And that's what makes it rather fascinating.
yeah, so you see the image you shared, it has a lot of arrows, but nothing, even the wording doesn't track. These are not investments, these are services rendered, right?
Well, there's two different kinds. There's two different, you'll see the two different colors. The investments is the light blue and the services. And that's the thing. Some can be physical investments.
But that's what I mean. I don't see a blue, sorry, a cyan line that is going back and forth, right? The direction is usually one way, and then services rendered is going back. That sounds like payment. That sounds like it's a good deal, right?
I have a question.
It might not. I'm not. My. Yes. Hold on one second, Katie. I'm not saying it's not a good deal, but I think it's very much. It is open for, if there is a major earthquake within this ecosystem, which I would argue is pretty fragile based on a lot of these deals. If there is an earthquake, and doesn't even need to be a major one, it could cause a lot of these arrows that you see to be severed very quickly. I'm sorry, Katie, that I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I'm I can't wrap my head around it, but like, what's the alternative that if all of the money is like circling into these stuff, what does it circle out and then doesn't come back in? Like, I don't know. Maybe I needed to explain it to me like I'm 5.
No, it's a good
One-
question. I think part of the question is from a broader economic standpoint of you've got literally tens of trillions of dollars floating around in this AI space right now, and the one of the pieces of discussion in the Bloomberg article, which was very well written, on at least from my vantage point, seemed to be pretty well written, was what is this doing for the broader economy? Right? It's not like the analysis that I took away from it was this, because this money is staying largely within that space, the money is really not affecting the economy elsewhere. Or at
Oh, yeah.
least it's not, there is an effect. Yes. If I invest $500 million into Gauss company, he's going to hire people. He's going to pay people a salary. He's going to do things that will absolutely impact the economy. No question about it. The question is, out of, let's say, tens of trillions of dollars, how much of that money is making it out of the AI circle? Is it 5%? Is it 20%? Is it 40% of that money? Doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's a very low, in the grand scheme of all of the money, a relatively low percentage.
Yeah, but you were talking about hits.
Hits? What do you mean?
I mean, if the company is taking a hit, Microsoft.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is. I mean, you have to, I see it very simple. It's business. If Microsoft decides to invest in company X, 500 million, they put it on their accounting. Hey, we spent 500 because they're
Correct.
taking the benefit.
Yes.
The company has to put it on their accounting that they
Agreed.
just received 500. These are two
Yes.
different transactions, so to speak. I mean, one is an income, one is now. If company X cannot pay Microsoft, or Microsoft ends up with not being able to recover this money, Microsoft cannot go to the IRS and says, "Look, our deal was that only if they make it, blah 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 blah." No, that's it. Somebody in the company made a decision. Hey, it's good to invest. That's okay. That was a feeling thing, a whatever. But the money changing hands, yeah, Microsoft is going to take a hit no matter what.
Yeah, correct. And so the question is, if there is, and that's why I mentioned this idea of like some sort of, well, all of you probably besides Katie saw with the .com
Right.
bubble, in the .com boom. And the question is, if something similar to that happens in the AI space, what does that do for all of these companies? Gal made the great point about Microsoft, that Microsoft's not going to be killed by AI. They've got plenty of other avenues and streams of revenue. It's not going to be the end of the world. But like OpenAI, if there's a major, and they're probably a bad example too because they're so large. But there are other.
No, OpenAI is an excellent example.
Like, let's say there's a major, and again, I don't know what it would be, and so I hate talking about things without having concrete examples. But a lot of this is theoretical. If there is a major shakeup in the AI space, what is the divestment that OpenAI has to continue operating as a company? The answer is they don't. It's all AI.
Yeah, I doubt we're anywhere in that direction. AI, we're no longer in a new business. We're just waiting for the business to form. So OpenAI specifically, I don't think it might shrink, but I don't think it'll ever go away at this point.
I agree with that.
I
Yeah.
have another
One
question
thing
slash
that
thought.
can happen, maybe like somehow, is NVIDIA is no longer the major player.
That would be huge.
That's going to take a long time until something like that will happen, because the way NVIDIA was building themselves to be at this position for about 20 years.
Mhm.
I don't know if they thought AI is the thing or what, but
It was
they
probably
were
originally
investing-
crypto.
Games.
anything, right?
Yeah,
But
it
they
sure
were
as hell wasn't
definitely
games.
they were definitely building outside of just the graphics side, right? They're building other pipelines and bandwidth and computational speed, right? Was a core guideline internally, and right now they are the ones who are doing most of the deals, not only in the US but also in China, right? So that's the thing. What if China brings up their own Nvidia? That can shake things up substantially, even in the market here. So that is an interesting one. But the fact that everything is circular, I mean, every business is that. I'm guessing oil is like that. I'm guessing car manufacturing is like that. Every big business that we can think about is probably like that.
I have a thought. Call the press. Katie has a thought. That diagram you showed with everything circling in together. I feel like that it's just a small thing of the bigger picture. So like if that whoever Bloomberg or whoever made that document, whatever, if they pulled back, there's probably other circular industries that are feeding into the AI, and the AI is feeding out of because I'm just thinking like with the AI, you need the manufacturing that makes the computer parts, the chips, the electricity, the land renting, all this other stuff. There's like physical industry that is affecting or that AI is putting into. And so if AI does fail, for whatever reason, or bubble pops or whatever, then those outer bubbles are going to start popping because they're built their structure on supporting the big industry that is AI. I think that's where I see the issue, not so much like the AI companies dissolving for whatever reason.
That's a great point. Yeah, it will have a huge. If a doomsday scenario comes to fruition, it will have a huge impact and will be very much a domino effect.
It's interesting because you wonder at what point, what's the differentiation between valid investing and money laundering?
Well, and I think
venture capital companies now, there's some that are being accused of laundering money for cartels. I mean,
the guy that owns
not small things. I mean, you're talking billions of dollars that are flowing into these venture capital outfits. It's laundered to get to them, and then they go out and continue it. I mean,
but it's not even
once
VC.
it touches them, if they're clean on the money coming in, they're okay. But
there's a major investigation going on right now, and it's not VC, it's insurance in the owner of the LA Dodgers and I think the basketball team he owns as well.
Isn't it the not Heat? LA Lakers.
Lakers.
Is it the Lakers? I don't know. I didn't know if the basketball team was also
the
in
Lakers.
LA. Yeah. So there's some questions with insurance and some nonsense going on out there as well. And it's a good.
Yeah, they had investors come forward, and then something happened with that deal. That another outfit was. What were they doing? They were contesting it. Or was it a governmental agency?
No, it's insurance fraud. This is what I understand because I was listening to sports radio, but take what I say with a grain of salt because my brain sometimes cannot comprehend. The issue is he owned like a 20% stake in the team or whatever, and the way he made his money is through like life insurance. And with the life insurance stuff, he was supposed to declare the money that he's making on the investment, which is the life insurance, declare where he was putting that money, like reinvesting it or whatever, or doing whatever. And he made shell companies. He said he was investing it in other companies, right? But then it turns out those were shell companies that he owned. So instead of saying that he was reinvesting the money into his companies, he was like, "Oh, I'm reinvesting in these other companies, and you could see how I'm diversifying my portfolio or like supporting the region or whatever." And it was a lie, because it was just circling back to him, but he lied about it when he was reporting it.
And he's not
Many
the first.
such cases.
He's not the first one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. In this case, it was publicized because he made $20 billion and then sold the LA Lakers. So
we can all remain very calm that this is going to work out okay. After all, look at Microsoft and their genetically modified mosquitoes. It's been a great success.
All right, let's switch a little bit here. So here's something for people that use Comcast. Comcast is activating Wi-Fi motion sensing on millions of compatible Xfinity gateways, allowing the routers to detect movement by measuring disruptions in signals between the gateway and connected devices. The free feature, part of Xfinity Shield, can send activity alerts through the Xfinity app and offers home, away, and nighttime monitoring mode without requiring separate motion sensors. So it's like you have a motion sensing inside your house just because you have Xfinity, which is, it's nice, but I wonder what kind of a downside is to it. We'll have to wait and see.
You're essentially describing the process of how like radar works.
Right, exactly.
Radar guns that police officers use send out a signal, and then the signal bounces back, and based on signal attenuation, it determines how fast you're moving. It's kind of what you're describing here.
Yep.
I'm really curious about the accuracy should be pretty good because it's we're talking about a relatively small area, right? Maybe 600 or 700 square feet of where a range of that would work. And a lot of devices are fixed, right? If you think you've got a smart TV connected via Wi-Fi, that presumably you're not moving your TV consistently, so that should be a relatively known figure.
True.
Any sort of smart home box, if you've got A-Words or Google Homes, those are fixed devices that are probably not moving. Any sort of plug-in wall outlet doodads to turn lights and things on and off. There's a lot of fixed Wi-Fi devices, printers, smart light bulbs, all that other stuff. They should be able to do a pretty damn good job of mapping your house.
And with the new innovations that came with Wi-Fi 6, it's got now the whole spectrum of the Wi-Fi that's going on in the house is all like one big blob that has, you can have a conversation going on between two endpoints in Wi-Fi that uses different frequencies.
Yeah.
And your signal strength is all measured. So it's already there. It just figured out a way to take that
Right.
information.
They figured out a way how to
make it
utilize
into
it.
a diagram.
All right. Something from last week. Remember we were talking about that TV station that lost 50 terabytes?
Oh, the PBS group. Yeah.
So District Court Judge Eric Elif has ordered Iron Mountain to cooperate with 9 PBS in recovering roughly 50 terabytes of archival material stored through now defunct vendor OSS. He found that the station is the rightful owner of the materials and entitled to recover them from OSS, reports the current.org. 9 PBS must identify a third party to help retrieve the files, pay outstanding storage fees, and ensure that data belonging to other OSS customers isn't disturbed or accidentally recovered. So
The stipulation of it is that they have to give it to them on floppies.
Yeah. They said that they're going to hire somebody who used to work for OSS, who is familiar with what's going on, and that's the third party who's going to come and do this.
Sets an interesting precedent.
I know.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't know where this goes from here.
We'll have to wait and see. But
I don't like that. I'm not happy they lost their data. I think the situation sucks. I do not like this ruling.
Yep.
Don't like it.
This article goes, it's not just RAM prices that are going up. It's from CNET. Reports suggest the cost of Windows licenses for manufacturers is rising up to 10% Several sites that closely follow Microsoft news, including Windows Central and Windows Latest, have published articles that claim some PC manufacturers are seeing a 7 to 10% increase in the cost of Windows 11 licenses. So that is also bringing up the price of new PCs. And as far as RAM prices, it says RAM prices have exploded over the past year, with some DDR5 kits approaching 500% year over year increases, and a 128 gig kit now selling for $3,399, which
That's a
is
real bad
more.
time
Huh?
to build a computer. I said it's a real bad time to
Yeah.
be building anything in the hardware space that requires memory.
It's more than 10 times its previous low. That's from Tom's Hardware. So
When do you
this
think the
puts
prices,
it. A what?
When do you think the prices are going to come down? Because I've
They
been
won't.
wanting to,
Sooner or later, but I
I
mean,
want to
No.
right
upgrade
now.
my computer for like the past 2 years and I can't.
It's not going to be. I disagree. I don't think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Going back to what we were talking about in the open with AI, until that slows down or moderates or mediates at some point, it's not slowing down. There's no indication that the AI boom is slowing down at all.
No, but
I think we could very well be in this too for another 24 to 48 months easily.
well, that's
But in the scheme of, but to Katie's point, in the scheme of consumer electronics, 48 more months worth of old hardware is a long time. That's what, like, in a normal economic thing, 48 months is not the end of the world, but it is
right. Yeah.
when you're, I'm in the same boat. I built my computer back in 2020. And so I'm sitting at 6 years now of hardware, which is still fine and still operating. I have upgraded my graphics card somewhat recently, but I'm in the next year or two, I need to jump and build something new, and that's not going to happen right now. Because you'll spend $800, $900 on a set of RAM.
Yeah.
That's why if you go into a big box store and look for laptops, you'll see the whole shelf littered with 8 gigabyte laptops, which suck. But it's the only thing. It's the only
Go to
thing they can sell.
Costco. I could only find one machine under $1,000 at Costco.
I'm sure. Yeah. Because Costco typically has not super high end, but more high end than the crap that you'd find at Staples. And
That's
so,
what my computer is. My computer is Costco, and I love it, but I'm at the point where I need to upgrade it, and
it ain't happening right now.
What?
I said it ain't happening right now unless you're going to shell out $1,000 for memory.
They were also
and it's by the way, it's also not just memory like RAM. It's also and hard drives, which are now all flash storage, all NVMe.
It's electronics. It's all kind of
anything that's using memory and or RAM.
They were talking also about the fact that a lot of cars now have big displays.
Yep.
And it brings up the price of cars.
100% it does.
Yeah.
We saw this during COVID.
Yeah.
You had companies selling cars that did not have all of the tech features because they could not get the chips to put all that stuff online. You were getting deep discounts on cars. It was crazy to see.
But how will the government truck you if you don't have chips in your car?
They have a little bitty.
Don't worry, they have Flock. They're good to go without. They don't need the chips in your car. They've got those goddamn things sitting everywhere anyway.
There is one interesting effect that's happening with the chip shortage affecting entertainment systems and all the ECMs and all that stuff in a car. Car manufacturers now are recognizing that people want simple cars. And they're now putting out their viewers and also showing that they're going to be coming out with new models that don't have all these systems in it. They don't have there are certain things mandated by law. Yes, backup cameras, some other things. But some of these other exotic things like automatic braking and all this other stuff is not necessary. And then people don't want it because it's so
a lot of
complicated
people
to
still,
repair.
but a lot of people still do want it.
No, what I'm saying is people don't want to have a car that out of warranty costs them $5,000 to fix a feature.
Yeah, a freaking sensor. That's literally what because you have to take the entire drivetrain apart to get to a sensor.
So
it's absurd.
them in a way that they can't be serviced by the average person.
Yeah.
Talking about service after, Here is something nice. A Dutch company is bringing its repairable and sustainably built Android smartphone, the FairPhone Gen 6 Plus, to the US. Each one comes with a screwdriver. A replacement screen from a FairPhone costs just $90. A new USB-C port is $20. A fresh battery is $40. In all, there are 12 modular elements you can swap yourself. It remains the only smartphone series with a 10 out of 10 repairability score from iFixit. Not to mention an unmatched 5-year warranty and software updates through 2033. There was no mention how much the phone cost, but it's the FairPhone Gen 6 Plus. They said it was just as small as others, and it's interesting.
That's what I was trying to find. There was a company, and I don't remember if it was Fairphone or not. I remember Brian and I used to talk about it on the Infection show, the gaming podcast we did.
Yeah.
There was one of these modular phones from the mid 2000s that I don't think it was Fairphone, and they had the same set of features. This thing was so bulky. It was like the dimensions of a freaking VHS tape. It was the most impractical, stupid ass product that could ever be imagined. And of course, you know, the repair people were, gushing over how amazing this thing was. And I was like, who in their right mind? Yeah, sure. I agree. Repairability is important, but you're gonna walk around with a VHS tape in your pocket, which of course nobody is, or you have to get a man purse or a fanny pack to carry your phone. It's just it becomes impractical.
Yeah. Remember we were talking about the guy that gave the border protection, the wrong password, or the password that would erase his phone? When they asked, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, the self-destruct password.
Yeah, the self-destruct. Well, he got charged with a felony now. So we'll see where it's going. I mean, it's still not finished, but they're saying obstructing federal law enforcement is a serious matter that has serious repercussions. This is from the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. So he said the individuals who destroy or attempt to destroy property, including data, to prevent lawful search and seizure should expect to face prosecution and punishment for their actions. So he is accused. He's now facing felony charges.
Yeah, that's a very complicated one.
It is.
I mean, he clearly actively destroyed evidence, right?
Yeah.
I wonder though, it was still his problem. It's a complicated thing, right?
We'll have to wait, and I mean, all the details are not out there yet, so we can't. I mean, this is just what they were reporting, and this is an interesting situation. The San Francisco Bay Area, epicenter of the artificial intelligence boom, is home to a massive amount of tech workers employed by some of the world's most valuable companies, from Apple to NVIDIA. But for the first time, New York has eclipsed the Bay Area as a home of the largest tech talent workforce. This is a report by real estate and investment firm CBRE. The firm has published the annual report for 13 years. Last year, the New York metro area tech talent workforce reached 394,000, surpassing the Bay Area 375,000. According to the report, fueled by mass layoffs, the Bay Area tech talent workforce dropped by 6% from 2022 to 2025. New York's tech talent workforce, on the other hand, grew by more than 8%. So New York is becoming more and more as the center of when something like this come out, a lot of companies are going to say, "Hey, we need to go to New York," because it's just like when they say North Carolina is a great place to live, and boom,
It is. Yeah. It
So
consistently falls in the top of those rankings.
Yeah.
So whoever wrote that article, that's what they're trying to do.
Well,
However, the San Francisco Bay Area, Metro Bay Area,
yeah.
is less than 4 million people. 3,400,000, something like that. The New York metro area is 20 million people.
Yeah.
So it's still a drop in the
But
bucket.
I don't know that they're talking about the New York Metro.
That's what you read. Those were the words you read.
No, it says the New York has eclipsed the Bay Area. It doesn't say, okay, the New York metro area. Yeah, you're
Fake
right.
news. Thanks,
Yeah.
fact checking, Gall. Appreciate you.
Yep.
The
Plus,
number
too, if-
is higher, true.
But
It's still a very small number.
This has been, though, a growing issue. I remember covering this when I was doing morning radio here in Wilmington. This is back 2022, 2023. San Francisco has seen a huge decline in general. I mean, you've got, even outside of the tech space, you've got a lot of businesses, and with not getting down a rabbit hole, but a lot of it is politically motivated, and some of the policy that San Francisco has become a very unfavorable place to live and by default work. That's
Also,
been going on for years. That's not
Let's
new.
be realistic here. If they move to New York, then in a few years they're just going to move down to North Carolina because that's their trajectory.
Yes, or Florida or Texas.
Yep.
The triangle will be completed somewhere.
But it's interesting that, I mean, what we had articles about people that were, what in the world?
I have to share this before we go. I came
Ted.
across something I wanted to show you. You see what it is?
Ted.
Ted. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's at 8:50 the buzz.
just watch. It's only a minute or two. So poor Ted, he was like, "Don't put me on camera." This is the studio back in 2013.
8:50 the buzz.
Look
Hey,
at that! Look at that spry young man.
Yes. Look at him.
Jim
This
Duffy.
was 2013. This is making it look
2013.
like it was the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of computers are those?
Well, I have to say the date on the video is 2013. So I don't know when it was I actually
Yeah,
put
this
it
had to be
together.
before that. Because...
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
It's probably the late 90s.
Okay, yeah.
Or no, I don't know.
Well, remember,
Radio stations typically don't upgrade equipment quickly,
Well,
Katie.
okay.
So it's possible this was 2013.
This was the old studio.
Yeah, but look
too.
at the format of the video. The video's not even HD.
yeah.
This is
When did
before
we
moved
stop?
to the
When
other-
did we stop? We stopped at
Oh gosh.
90
I don't know.
no, 2008, 2007. I think.
Yeah, that sounds about
Yeah.
right. It was uploaded in 2013 then.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's funny how we moved from
That was ahead.
one studio to another, and where we moved from had all this brand new equipment. And when we moved to the new studio, because they got taken over by, what was his name? Amelon, the guy who,
The one that with
the guy who was been around in Raleigh radio forever.
Don
Yeah.
Curtis.
Curtis.
Yes, moved to his
Yeah.
studio. It was all this old stuff. It
Yeah,
was
correct. That's
unbelievable.
radio. Yep.
Yeah.
State of the art equipment. I was using equipment when I was doing morning radio in Wilmington. I was using state of the art equipment that was older than I was. I was using 35-year-old
old
equipment
stuff.
as a 27-year-old, 26-year-old doing radio.
Oh. I had to do a double take there. That was a surprise, Spence. Brings back good memories though.
Yes, I'll pull that original clip and I'll send it to you.
Nick, did you look in the
No.
chat? Ken says there was the visor phone.
No, I don't remember. I don't think
That
it
was
them.
huge.
I'd have to go back and look. All I know is this
Huh.
thing was ridiculously stupid.
Well,
No, the visor phone is. This looks like it's a piece of 90s tech. This was like mid 2010s, I think.
Oh. We'll wait and see how that phone is, a high
Yeah.
end. And I don't know how many people are actually interested in fixing their own phone. And
Well, that's
besides,
the
if it's a 5-year warranty, wow.
This is where I fall, and the right to repair stuff is perfect. Is good. I watch who's the big right to repair guy on YouTube? Lewis.
I don't know.
Drawing a blank on him. But I watch a couple of these big guys, and they fight for right to repair, and for good reason. But Amnon, I think, just made the point of how many people are actually interested in this.
Yeah.
Everybody says they want the right to repair, but when the rubber meets the road, do they really? Are they willing to give up the features? Are they willing to pay more for the right to repair? The answer most of the time, I think, for most people is no.
Right.
Well, even if they don't have to pay us a royalty or something to get into it, the equipment just to do it, in some cases, are proprietary.
No. They send you a screwdriver with each phone.
Authorized.
I mean, you see this right now. There's a company called Framework that builds laptops, and they're modular laptops. You literally can plug in new motherboards, and it's very cool. It's very cool technology. There's a premium associated with it. And the question is, are you willing to pay that premium for the ability to switch out the screen, switch out the full keyboard, put in new modules for different for USB-C and all these different things? The verdict is still out, but I think the answer is no for most people, because they'd rather spend $700 versus $1,200.
Apply for some circular financing.
Yeah, there you go.
It's, by the way, I don't think I don't think you're right on that there is a premium. Right now there's a premium because there is no standardization around modularity. But if that becomes the norm, that premium goes away.
I don't think
I
it
agree.
ever will.
Do you really think that manufacturers will go down that route?
Well,
Yeah.
let's put it this way. We are now at a point where finally we actually have both a physical connection that has become ubiquitous,
Yeah,
right? USB-C has finally done what we were talking about in the 90s of why can we have something like that, right? USB-C is literally the connection that hooks up almost everything now. Like Nintendo, a company that is notorious in making everything its own thing. Apple, right, that is notorious in making everything its own thing, are using USB-C.
Because they were
next thing
forced.
we're gonna see is a Sony Betamax using a USB-C.
Well,
So
the reality is
now let's get an RCA Selectavision system using using USB-C.
What was the interface that gave you the cable you used to use for externalizing SATA? You remember that?
eSATA. Yeah, eSATA.
eSATA,
It still
yeah.
exists.
Yeah, I still have those cables laying around. I still have.
By the way,
a
USB-C
drive
has
enclosure.
over eclipsed those as well.
Oh, it's good. It's good technology, but it's USB-C is competing.
So
It's
I
better.
have an external enclosure holding 8 hard drives, right?
Using
And it has SATA, external SATA, and it has USB-C.
Yep.
I'm using the USB-C because that allows me to address each one of the drives inside. The eSATA only works if I say, no, this is a single braid that you manage.
Yeah, I have a
Right?
couple.
So it's like, yeah, USB-C has taken over.
I have a couple of
so-
drop-in docks that I'm using on USB-C
Yeah, but
now
the
because
thing, but
the eSATA wasn't worth doing anymore.
but Gal, that the USB-C and all those interface things are not going to change the way that companies
Framework?
are building their because
Framework, the laptop that Nick mentions, the connection of the models is USB-C.
No, that's
Yeah.
I understand. I understand perfectly. Look,
That
they were
means
back.
No, the entire point, right? You're right, but the entire point is once you have more people using the same interface, that premium drops because it's no
Yes.
longer unique.
Yes, and
So right now there's a premium.
But I mean, modular laptops are not something new. I mean, we had modular laptops back in the early 90s.
Yeah, Dell was making them.
And I remember building them every day. People wanted to get this. You come, you said, okay, what keyboard do you want? What screen do you want? What video? And you just, but these were
Correct.
modules that you put in there and you put them together and you put them together and you end up with a laptop. And if something went
But
bad,
you only could, but you can only buy stuff from Dell,
from them. Absolutely.
right? Because it still was proprietary.
Yeah, well, not
And
everything.
the moment you do something modular but proprietary, you're correct. By the way, one of the things that frameworks doesn't give you, right, for now, and I hope that will change, is okay, you want to be a manufacturer that builds modules for us? Go ahead. That will change. When that changes, that is when stuff like right for repair suddenly makes sense. You have it with car manufacturing, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's a good point. You can buy
Yeah.
you can buy knockoff, not knockoff,
Yeah.
but non-OEM parts for pretty much any car.
Exactly. And by law, right, it is allowed. Right? An official Toyota dealership can sell you Toyota, but they can sell you something else as well. Right?
No.
And they ingrained it so that it'll be allowed. So that's
The only
point.
difference I see
Can
there, and
change.
it's a good point. The only difference I see there is obviously everybody, or not everybody, but the vast majority of people have cars, right? There's a huge market for aftermarket parts. That's why Rock Auto and Amazon
Yeah.
and eBay Motors and all these other things. We have yet to see that in the tech space. We know for a fact people want cheaper than OEM parts, because if you go on Amazon and search for struts for a 2013, so on and so forth, there's a whole bunch of products and there's a whole bunch of purchases and reviews. I don't, it's one of these things in the tech space. I'll go back to what Amnon said earlier. Do people actually want it? I don't know. They say they do. Tech nerds like us are like, oh, modularity, that's neat. The regular everyday consumer that has a laptop, do they care about the modularness? I still think the answer as of
Well,
right now is no.
They care about the cost.
They
right?
do.
They don't
That's
care
the only
about
thing
the
they care about.
modularity. They care
Yeah.
about the cost. So if you can have a local vendor that you bring the computer and 2 days later you get the computer fixed and it doesn't cost a leg and an arm, then yeah, they care. That's what they care about.
I
They
mean,
don't care about being able to do it on their own. You're right. Most people don't take the time, invest the time in how to fix their car, so the same will go to the computer.
remember the PCs since the mid 80s, they're modular.
Yeah.
They are modular. There's nothing proprietary. Well, power supplies sometimes are. You have to get the right power supply for that particular case.
Yeah,
but
if you're buying a Dell or an HP
Yeah.
or something like
Right.
that.
but everything else is, you can replace the motherboard. Yeah. It'll be nice if you could do it with the laptop. It would be very nice.
Check out Framework. They're doing it right now.
Yeah. I was talking about that laptop that I was working on, and one thing I noticed when I started working on it is Ethernet did not work. I had to put Ethernet adapter to USB, and it worked fine. And I went into and it's a recent laptop. I went and I've looked in the BIOS and I looked here and then update the driver and everything, and it says that it's working, but nothing, not a thing. After I finished with it and I said, you know what, let's see what it is. And I took a flashlight and a magnifying glass and looked inside the Ethernet socket, the RJ45, and one of the pins was completely bent out. I took a little tiny screwdriver and bent it back and a little back and kind of lined it up, put the plug in, bam, everything works. I mean, to change that socket will be a fortune if anybody can do it.
You essentially would just throw the computer. If you needed
Yeah.
Ethernet, your option is an adapter or buy a new computer.
Right.
And that's what framework looks to, because as Gal mentioned, all the framework adapters are, the backplane is USB-C. So you would get
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
you'd get there are little square adapters that slot in, and you'd get an Ethernet port. And if you bungle the port or rip the cable out and pull all the pins out, you would just replace it like that.
Unfortunately, some manufacturers that use USB-C don't pay much attention to how they mount the USB-C
True.
connector on the board. Hannah had a clock for years. And now that's a clock that you put somewhere and it sits there. And she says, Dad, when I moved the wire, I mean, the thing stopped working, but as I moved the wire, it's come on and go out. So she brought it on and I opened it up. The socket is mounted by its soldering point, and it was loose. Now, come on, guys, do a little bit better work on soldering it in place, because this is the only place that people are interacting with. If they do, unplug and use USB-C and plug. So yeah, just putting some resoldering it took care of it. But I'm saying, why does this have to happen? What is there really a lower grade solder that after so many years it completely breaks apart? Is there something better to use? I never thought about this. But you gotta think something there.
No,
maybe
but how much
that'll
was
change as well?
how much was the clock?
I have no idea. Probably $15, $20.
That's
Oh, I
when
understand.
it breaks, it is designed and made to the cheapest spec possible,
Yeah.
and when it breaks, you throw it away and buy a new.
Yeah.
It's designed to last only as long as the warranty.
I don't like to give up on things like that.
Neither do I. But that's the way that everything is
Yeah.
designed and developed
Yeah.
now. Is
Too bad.
And then I'm guilty of it as well. You buy the cheapest thing and say, okay, it works for 2 years, and
True.
it was $12. Okay, well then you rented it for 2 years for $12, and then buy another one, buy a new one.
Yeah.
Chances are it got better, though, in the 2 years.
Hopefully.
All right.
By the way, on the topic of standard connection and interfaces
Mhm.
and durability, remember the magnetic tip?
Yeah.
We keep coming back to it. So the one I am using right now, they are now coming up with a magnetic tip that still works with the same cables I have, but the tip itself allow USB-C to connect through it.
Really?
So even if you are in a location where, okay, you don't have your cable, but somebody can lend you a USB-C cable, you can still plug it in without taking out the tip.
The tip.
That's
Interesting.
ingenious. That is going to be awesome if that actually works properly. I'm waiting for them to come out with it. They just finished their Kickstarter. That will be nice to report, because if that catches up and a standard is established around something like that, then that's beautiful.
At that point,
that is technology that will make life easier for most people. So
it can be built on to the phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they should come out with a standard for hacking, so they don't have to develop anything new. They just have a wide open interface that's going to do it anyway. Then you'll know.
It's called AI.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people still don't know about those magnetic things. It's amazing.
Well, remember, it's an investment. You need to buy into it. You need to make a conscious effort to invest in the cables you have at home. So yeah, it's not the top priority for most people.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Nothing? All right. Well, I guess we'll end the show. So thanks, Spence. Thanks, Gal. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Katie. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. And change any same passwords where you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT 107.9 in Charlotte. And it's on YouTube, so just go to YouTube and search for the Carolina Journal News Hour, and you get all the details. And Monday through Friday, also 7 to 8 a.m., Nick hosts the Nick Craig Show at nickcraig.com. So just go to nickcraig.com and get all the details where to watch, and if you want to watch past episodes too. Have a great week. Stay cool, and we'll be back together next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.